Since 1973, Honda has sold over 12 million Honda Civics. So this is one of their most important cars that they've got in the lineup. And for 2025, we've got a pretty significant refresh coming to the 5-door and 4-door versions of this car. And the big news here is that they've added a hybrid powertrain. So now they have this hybrid model in place of the old 1.5 liter turbo. And there's some of you out there that might be questioning that, but here's a couple advantages of going to hybrid. This hybrid powertrain that this new Civic Hybrid has makes 200 horsepower and 232 pound-feet of torque versus 180 horsepower in the old 1.5 liter turbo. So it's more power. In fact, Honda says the most power they've put in a Civic that's not a Type R ever. And that roundabout matches the Civic Si, so pretty cool. Now, if you're also a fan of the manual transmission, it is worth noting that the Si and the Type R are still around. These updates are specifically for these more standard models, and there's a few styling changes with that. So both of these cars that we have here in the studio in California where we're at are both sport touring hybrid models. And because they're sport touring, we have these new 18-inch wheels. They're 7-spoke, they have a machined face, and they're kind of a dark gray in the center. And it's a really sharp wheel design, nice angular geometric shapes cut into the spokes here. Pretty cool. And then one of the ways visually that you can tell a hybrid model apart from the standard 2-liter cars, which make 158 horsepower, is the fact that they've gone body color on this section of the fascia as well as this headlight trim. So they are new fascias, they've updated them, and the grille is a little different. But if you want to look out for what distinguishes a hybrid visually, other than the badging and potentially the wheels, if you get a sport touring, it's going to be these body color elements. And you can see that as well here on the sedan. There's also these aerodynamic functional air curtains that go past the wheel, help with your fuel economy a little bit. That's all new. And then as far as the sedan goes, if we walk around to the back, you'll see these taillights are now a little bit darker than they used to be on the old model. So it's got a slightly smokier appearance. The hatchback, however, is still the same. Otherwise, from the exterior, the cars are mostly the same as they have been, but the changes are not only external, they're also on the inside. And it's worth mentioning too, because you're probably wondering, a hybrid powertrain, that must mean that you're getting better fuel economy, right? And Honda is claiming around nearly at least 50 mpg. So some of the numbers on these cars are not quite ironed out yet, but they're saying nearly 50 miles per gallon, which is a good number. Now, one of the new aspects of this car is some of the colors that they're offering. So there's going to be 4 new exterior colors for these, and there's new interior colors, including this gray that you can see. And because we're in a sport touring model, these are leather trim seats. A couple other things that a sport touring gets you is this Bose 12-speaker audio system, and we've also got a 9-inch center screen here with Google integration. So we've got Google Maps, Google Assistant, and this is part of a complimentary 3-year data plan. So at some point you will have to take over and get a data plan if you get one of these cars and you want to maintain that Google Assistant and Google integration functionality. But that is something here which is pretty cool. It's something that we've experimented with in some other Honda products, and it has some cool functions. You can tell it to navigate you places. You can even have it turn on your heated seats, things like that. Now the rest of this interior, a lot of it is very familiar. So this honeycomb design for the vents, which is one of the key distinguishing parts of this Civic interior, it's still here. It's gray, almost exactly the same as the seats really. And then we've got a couple different textures and materials on the inside. We have this textured trim that's around the cup holders. Also in front of the cup holders, we've got a wireless charger, and we've got 2 USB-C outlets, as well as your standard 12-volt there in front as well. And directly in front of me, we have a digital instrument cluster. Technology is a big part of this car. And so we've got lots of it.
Real quick, one thing I wanted to point out, Case, is
Yeah.
the car's plugged in. It's in demo mode.
Yeah, that's
So
why
that's
you're
why
seeing
it's
some of that.
flashing all the lights.
That's also a little behind the scenes here. That's also the reason that we're not popping the hood and showing you under there, is because they've got these cars wired up so they can have the lights and the screens on all day. And we don't want to show the ugliness that's under there, or they'd rather not. A couple other things as far as picking out what trim level of the car that you're going to get. If you go for a regular hybrid sport model, so not one of the sport tourings that gets you the Bose audio and the bigger screen and the leather seats, you'll still get dual zone climate control on one of the sport models, and you'll also get heated front seats, and you'll still get this sunroof. Not a huge sunroof, but still a sunroof, still nice to have. The other thing that I have liked about this Civic interior personally since it came out is all the touch points. All the switchgear in this car is nice and tactile. They've done a really good job with all of the parts of this car that you're going to interact with most frequently. And of course, we don't have the chance to drive this car quite yet, but once you do, on the hybrid models, you'll be able to adjust your regen settings with the paddles on the wheel. And there's 4 different settings that you can set the regen to. So there is going to be some adjustability there that we have to look forward to. And that powertrain, if you're wondering what it drives like, it is a similar powertrain, although optimized for this car, but a similar powertrain to what's in the Accord Hybrid and the CR-V Hybrid. So there is some part sharing between a few of the different Honda hybrids that you can get. And it's also worth jumping in the back seat. Again, this is a part of these cars that we've already really gotten to experience, but one good thing that we did confirm with these new hybrid models is that just because it's a hybrid and it has some battery and some extra powertrain components does not mean that you're losing any cargo space. So both on the hatchback and here in the sedan, you're going to have your cargo unaffected. And here in the back seat, you can tell, and even when you look in the back, it's a pretty simple back seat area. I do wish that we had vents back here because that's always a major factor for rear seat comfort, whether you're on a hot day and you want AC or if it's cold back here. So no vents, no USBs. We do have a center armrest with a couple of cup holders. There's speakers in the door back here and cup holders, but really not much else. So it's a pretty simple back seat. And while we're at it, we might as well walk around and show the cargo area just to show that it is in fact unaffected by the fact that this is a hybrid. So you can still see that we've got a flat load floor here underneath, some extra cubbies. We've got tire inflation kit. So it's all the same stuff that we've come to expect from this car, unaffected because of the hybrid powertrain. And there's a few things, again, like I mentioned, that are unconfirmed about this model. One of them being the exact pricing, but we are told that the hybrid models will start below $30,000. So the exact pricing is going to come down the line, but that's what we know about it so far. So this is a powertrain that is, again, replacing the 1.5 liter turbo. And I mean, it's going to get you more power. It's going to get you better fuel economy. So there's definitely some key advantages with that. And that is an option, again, both on the hatchback and the sedan models of these cars. And these are going to be built in Ohio as well. So that's all for this video, just a general refresh here to the Civic, but things that are going to add a lot of practicality for buyers that want either one of these models and they want to increase fuel economy and get that power bump. So let me know what you all think in the comments below. That's all for this video, and we'll see you in the next.